What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and today we're going to talk about Kuninotokotachi, an absolutely amazing character that I have grown to love tremendously ever since I started playing Aether Gazer. And I wanted to kind of talk about it, guys, and talk about kind of like the good and supposedly the bad about this character. So currently right now, my Kuninotokotachi has 17,600 CP. The gameplay that I'm going to show you guys, she has around 14 to 15,000 CP. She has Divine Grace. She's a melee character, right? She is a ninja, and she's an absolutely beautiful ninja to boot. What a gorgeous, gorgeous character. I definitely have a thing for white-haired girls, especially in black ninja outfits. Her skills are quite interesting and quite unique, and this is one of those things about this character that some people like and some people don't like. So her basic attacks, guys, are pretty simple. You know, she just does a bunch of slashes, throws a couple kicks in there. Nothing really too major as far as this is concerned. But whenever you start getting into her actual skills, right? Her first skill is called Heaven. Her second skill is called Earth. Whenever you get into those skills, that's where things get really interesting for this character, because whenever you hit Heaven twice, she will do physical damage. And the thing about this is it actually will lower the physical damage by will lower the physical resistance by 30%. And this is a common theme that you'll see in her kit, where she does this with multiple different dots as well as the physical damage, right? And the thing about this particular skill is it's actually whenever you do the Heaven twice and then you do the third skill once, when you go into the third skill, you'll actually be in an iframe. Now, the thing about this skill is that it does a lot of damage, like it seems like in one shot, has a little bit of AoE, but it's not really the best skill in my humble opinion. And we'll get to talking about why here in a second. Wondrous Thunder is where you do Heaven and Earth, which is skill 1 and 2, skill 1 and skill 2, and then skill 3. And I'm pretty sure this is an iframe as well. She kind of jumps around and slashes all over the place. And then she'll deal thunder damage. Now, this is really, really useful because you can actually put S Tsukuyomi on the team, who has lightning damage, or thunder damage, as they like to call it in Aether Gazer, to really, really bump up damage. And since you can lower the thunder resistance by 30% whenever you do this for 10 seconds, every time this is up, Tsukuyomi, whenever she's attacking, that lightning damage is getting buffed up the entire time, not to mention the own lightning damage on Kuninotokotachi, which is pretty fantastic, guys. You'll notice in the gameplay that I do, I will be using this skill tremendously for that one reason, but also for another reason, as we'll explain in a little bit. The Razor Whirlwind, guys, is where you're going to be doing, you know, your Earth and Heaven, so which means you're going to do skill 2, then skill 1, then skill 3. And this skill here, guys, I mean, it does lower wind resistance by 30%, but I don't think it's really the best skill in all honesty, guys, because whenever she does it, unlike her other two skills that I just previously showed, she isn't in an iframe. She's wide out in the open, doesn't seem to really do a lot of damage. And honestly, guys, because of S Tsukuyomi currently in the game, a lot of people are going to be pulling for her because she's a lightning damage character or thunder damage. I just don't think this is really an optimal skill to use. And then kind of the same thing with Tectonic Blast. Whenever she does this, guys, you're going to do her Earth twice, which is her second skill twice, and then her third skill. And, you know, she'll go into a nice little kind of like prayer stance, and then some balls will show up around her. But the cool thing about this skill is after you do it, it does a bunch of residual hits afterwards, some continuous hits afterwards from underneath the character, doing fire damage and lowering the fire resistance. And that's really, really good. And you know, and you could use her with other characters that have fire damage. But again, I really feel like teaming her up with S Tsukuyomi is really going to be your best bet, especially early on in the game. But she is a versatile character for all these reasons I just explained. Being able to lower the resistance of fire, wind, physical, and thunder is very, very unique to this character, and a reason why some players don't really like to use her that much or use her as a main carry, because they feel like they're not getting the most out of her, right? And I can tell you guys, if you let this character play on AI, it's not really going to be that great, but she is going to prioritize the skills that she needs to prioritize in order for you to do more damage. If you're playing with a physical character, it doesn't mean she's always going to be applying the physical resistance by doing Earth twice, or skill 1 twice. If you're playing with a lightning character and she's, you know, the AI is operating her, they're not going to always use, you know, Earth and then Heaven, you know, skill 1 and 2 to do thunder damage to lower that resistance by 30%. So you're really better off, if you really want to get the most out of the character, at least in my humble opinion, using her as the main carry, at least from, you know, the experience that I have. And then, of course, she has Vanish. And this is pretty cool, guys, because whenever she dodges, she gains 50% ultimate skill charge, which is nice. That is very, very sweet. Getting that extra charge up for your ultimate skill is nice because those things are iframes, and they also delay the timers. Really, really powerful stuff. Her access key, in all honesty, guys, like this is the free one that we actually get. And I think this is really more than good enough on her. Her actual access key, if you take a look at her functor and you take a look at her access key, which is, I believe, this one here. Yeah, this one here, guys, like it's okay. You know, whenever she casts her Heaven Hold, which again is her first skill, a shuriken attack is unleashed at the enemy, dealing physical damage equal to 375% of attack. Use of her hold leads to 1 round of area damage to surrounding enemies, which causes physical damage equal to 355% in total. Now, it would be better to have this on her, in all honesty, if you're trying to do more damage, but I don't think it's really needed. But the hits landed with ninjutsu deal 24% more damage. That is nice. I mean, I'm not going to lie. And eventually, I do plan on getting her functor, but I don't think it's really necessarily need. But for really any character that you're trying to get the most out of it, if you're using them as your main carry, having their functor is a really big benefit. But it's not really a necessity for certain characters. Some characters just benefit more from having their functor than others. And I really think that Kuninotokotachi really doesn't need it, but it would be nice to have. So when we get into the sigils for the character, these are the sigils that I opted to go for. You know, in this game, you can really kind of play around with what sigils you want to put on the character. These are the ones that are actually recommended by the game, but I do have them in different slots. So I can actually gain more attack. As you guys can see, my attack, Fierce Assault, is at level 7, where I'm getting 28%. My Berserk is at level 7, which I'm getting 28% critical rate. And in Rage, my critical damage is only at level 3, so I really need to work on this and get the critical damage up. This is really what you want. If you're using a character as your main carrier, your main damage dealer, you're trying to increase as much attack, critical rate, and critical damage as you can. And if they do have a certain element, which Kuninotokotachi doesn't have a certain element, she has different elements that can buff up other characters. So attack, critical rate, and critical damage are really going to be the best for her. But because, you know, of the way that I'm going to play her and the team up that I'm using with her and Tsukuyomi, I actually want to get a little extra thunder damage on her as well, which actually could be pretty helpful, right? Especially when later on, if I ever get this character to Omega tier. But these things really do help because, you know, the increasing critical rate whenever Divine Grace, and this is nice because this is exactly what Kuninotokotachi has, is Divine Grace. That really helps her out a lot. And then, you know, we get the critical rate here. So critical rate, critical damage, attack, that's what it's all about with this character. And then the codes. Now, the codes, guys, is always subject to opinion. The same with sigils. When it comes to building your characters, it's really a beautiful thing about Aether Gazer. And I opted to go for the blue because, you know, I'm getting all these effects. Depending on her teammate's damage attribute, Kuninotokotachi's corresponding attribute damage is increased by 25%. So the thunder damage that I'm going to be doing with Tsukuyomi is buffed up by 25%. That is nice. And then Ninjutsu skill inflicts various ailments on enemies hit. Reino Kunai inflicts enemies hit with armor break and lowers their defenses by 10% for 7 seconds, allowing you to do more damage. And then Wondrous Thunder, which I will be using a lot, which again is your first skill and your second skill. When the final strike results in a hit, the enemy hit is inflicted with stun for 3 seconds. So this is a way that you can add CC on your character. And in the run that I'll show you guys, man, you'll just see those opponents get stunned over and over and over, and I'll be applying thunder damage the entire time, and Tsukuyomi is just going to be doing a whole bunch of extra damage because of it. This is really, really OP. Very, very nice to have. The Razor Whirlwind enemies hit are inflicted with weak, and their attack is lowered by 30% for 7 seconds. This is good for extra survivability because they wouldn't be dealing as much damage to you, but you guys, I'll never use the Razor Whirlwind, the Tectonic Blast. Enemies hit are inflicted with Scorch for 13 seconds, which is adding a dot. I mean, that's nice too. But again, you know, I really just mainly go with the Wondrous Thunder and the Reino Kunai because both these skills are an iframes whenever you do the third skill. And I'm going to get that stun every time I do Wondrous Thunder. The caveat to it is, whenever she does Wondrous Thunder, that last strike that comes down, it's got to hit the opponent in order to stun them. If it doesn't hit the opponent, if they move around all over the place, it won't stun them at all. And then the critical rate of non-dot attacks on enemies with control resistance active is increased by 60%. So I really opted to go for this really mainly for the stuns. And another thing about the character is in the ultimate skill chains, guys, you know, you can team her up with, you know, this version of Tsukuyomi, or you can team her up with, you know, Tengu, who's who I have her teamed up with. And the reason being, guys, is you're going to notice, you know, some of these buffs are quite similar. But with Tengu, you're going to see a huge physical damage buff here. And then when the hits landed on the enemy, lower their physical fire, thunder, and wind resistance by 30% for 12 seconds. So again, really, really nice for buffing up other characters. Now, this effect, guys, like if you ever teamed up with Tengu and you're not using her as a main carry, you will decrease the resistances every time you do your ultimate skill, right? But if you're trying to keep that continuous resistance down the entire time that you're fighting, using Kuninotokotachi as a main damage dealer is going to help out tremendously, guys. And then also, whenever she lands a hit on the enemy, she enters 0 time, which slows all enemies' movements significantly for 5 seconds. All members of the team are granted a 7.5% ultimate skill charge for every additional enemy she lands a hit on. So the more enemies on the screen that we land hits on, the more charge we're actually going to gain, which is going to allow us to go into our ultimate even faster the second time around. This is really, really insane for doing a bunch of damage, guys. And it's a really, really cool skill. It looks freaking phenomenal watching that thing. But I would recommend, if you are playing this character as a main damage dealer, that you really want to fluctuate between using her Reign of Kunyai and Wondrous Thunder, because again, both those skills, whenever she hits her third skill, are in iframes. She won't take any damage during those things. And if you have her set up, the code set up the way that I have them set up, Wondrous Thunder will do those stuns every time she lands that Thunder Strike on him, which is going to really add and help the survivability of all your other characters, because you're getting that extra CC. Really, really valuable for getting it done. And another really wonderful thing about this character is, again, you can farm for this character in the reoccurring dreams right in here, which is phenomenal, guys. Whenever you're playing in this thing, you're going to be able to acquire these materials, and you're actually going to be able to get this character for free without doing any pulls at all, which is awesome, guys. And S rank is going to be more than good enough to get it done, guys, because whenever you level a character up from S, double S to triple S, you're just going to be gaining some stats. You're going to gain some extra little benefits, but it's not really a necessity in all honesty, especially for all you free-to-play players. It's really only when they get to Omega tier is when you can really see a damage spike, because then you can actually add an extra set of sigils on the characters. So this is phenomenal that the game gives you this character absolutely for free. I actually got lucky when I was doing my pulls for Tsukuyomi and got the character. And I'm going to show you guys a run in the hazard zone cleaning, actually at level 7. It's going to be a no hit, no damage run with Kuninotokotachi, with Tengu and Tsukuyomi getting it done, showing that stun, just getting all that ridiculous CC, and mainly using her Wondrous Thunder and Reign of Kunyai skills, especially since those are in iframes, and I'm getting that stun from doing Wondrous Thunder over and over and over, man. Really amazing character, guys. I'm loving her to death. So guys, let me know what you think about Kuninotokotachi and what you're doing for her. And I do stream on Twitch at 9 p.m. GG+7 time. The link is in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See everybody. Take care.
Well, let's get this mission started. Dual flow, flash! I can hear my sword moving. Transform. Just a bunch of chumps. Ninjutsu unleashed. I will protect everything I hold dear. Eclipse feathers, scatter! Not so often we work together. Focus on the battle. Yeah. Ninjutsu, shadow strike! Here's my answer! Thanks for the support. Thunder! Ninjutsu, unleashed! Easy peasy. Eclipse feathers, scatter. Not so often we work together. Focus on the battle. Yeah. Ninjutsu, shadow strike. Here's my answer. Thanks for the support. Thunder! Ninjutsu. Not so often we work together. Focus on the battle. Yeah. Ninjutsu. Shadow strike. Yeah.
Show no mercy to the enemies of my lord!
Path of Ninjutsu infinite in force. Thunder. There. Eclipse feathers. Scatter. Here's my answer. Thanks for the support. Swift as the... Not so often we work together. Focus on the battle. Yeah. Ninjutsu. Shadow strike.
Slay all enemies of my lord!
Path of Ninjutsu infinite in force. Finish them. Here's my answer. Ninjutsu unleashed. Thunder.
I have nothing to fear so long as I fight for my lord!
Not so often we work together. Focus on the battle. Yeah. Ninjutsu. Shadow strike.
Sharpen my blade with your blunt
Sword.
Looks like
Path
we
of
won't be
Ninjutsu
seeing
infinite.
eye.
Here's my answer. Thanks for the support. Not so often we work together. Focus on the battle. Yeah. Ninjutsu. Shadow strike. Eclipse feathers. Scatter. Slash. Now.
Looks like we won't be seeing
Path
eye
of
to
Ninjutsu
eye.
infinite in force. Eclipse feathers, scatter. Here's my answer. Not so often we work together. Focus on the battle. Yeah. Ninjutsu, shadow strike. Slash. Weak point strikes on everyone. Path of Ninjutsu infinite in force. Ninjutsu unleashed. Dual throw. Just a bunch of chumps. Do I get a reward, admin?